So welcome everybody. My name is Peter Bellis. I'm from Datavault Builder. I'm very happy to be here with my colleagues from Modelio and Acceliance. And today we will present you how all these different tools with the knowledge of Acceliance works together to create something really great. And just for my background, I'm pre-sales consultant. I help our partners and customers to understand the Datavault Builder, show to how to use it and enable them to use it themselves. And I would hand over to Hervé to introduce himself.
Thank you, Peter. I'm happy to be here with you to discuss about this question of data mesh. My name is Hervé Depoilly. I'm head of digital solution for Softeam Locapost, and this includes Modelio solution, which is a modeling tool, which we'll see just after. And we offer this working environment for now 20 years on the market. Jose?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. I am Jose Torres. I am Acceliance owner. I conceptualized digitized process of data modeling. I will present you this, and this will make the glue between Modelio and Datavault Builder around a fully digitized process. So let's begin by presenting you the Acceliance's vision. Our vision is that to draw value from the data must have meaning. And meaning is carried by the model. That's why we have a centric approach around what we call the federated enterprise data model. So let's go. Here I present you the fully digitized process. It's a practice around an iterative and agile process. It goes from vision until implementation. It is fully digitized through software and tooling. You will see all this live. It is fully CI/CD enabled, and the orchestration is made by Acceliance architect with all the stakeholders in a consultancy manner. So today we will especially focus on roadmap and transformation, which includes data mesh domains in red, and at the other side we will focus on Vault modeling with Datavault Builder, but we can also do physical schema for SQL and API. So let's focus now on the subject. Here we have on the left the overall process that embraces capturing, implementing, and running, and to accessing the data, the actual data on the left, and on the right, this agile process involves the business knowledge, the project subset of data usage, the modeling and implementing of it in an agile manner, and all that digitization is supported, is provided by Acceliance that developed Modelio add-ons that will augment the value of Modelio. We will see that in a few seconds. So then in the middle, Acceliance glues everything. Let's go on. So analytical data quality that brings taking the right decision. So now we will introduce the Modelio Enterprise Modeler. I give the hand to Hervé that will present it.
Thank you, Jose. When we talk with our customers, all the questions are often around somehow struggling between the immediate agile projects with high added value, which is finally the data mesh subject, versus the problematic of global data governance, data consistency in the long term, because everything needs to be kept in the long term. So in one side, we have the centralized approach, the big data lake project and the big data mapping. It meets a certain number of challenges, the high volume of data to manage. It's a pretty kind of slow project generally, with difficulties of collaboration between architects and business people. They have different ways to analyze and to see the data and the processes using the data. But this brings benefits: extensive data catalog, consistent data description. It enables you with data governance and to be compliant when you use the data to the general data protection regulation. You know, since 2018, we all have some question about this GDPR regulation. So on the other hand, we have the data mesh, which is a more local, more agile approach. It has to face a certain number of challenges, which is, how do I find, discover the right data for my project? There are also multiple projects, and those multiple projects can have somehow different needs on the same data. And the risk is to lose alignment on the data description and on the data use. So somehow you can lose some data consistency or data description consistency. And as it is a local initiative, it's very difficult to have a good governance about the data. But there are very good benefits, which is high added value on this small project, and there are quick, agile initiatives. So how to take the best of these two approaches and to fix the main problems. So the good approach seems to be the federal modeling. With the benefits, it's a central catalog repository, which allow you to bring a single data description. It's in one place, only one time, and it is shared by everybody. So it can bring consistent data description. You can build extensive data catalog, and it enables you to give easy data discovery, a good collaboration between the stakeholders, the people from the SI, from the architects, and the business people. It makes you able to have a good data governance and to use the compliance rules about GDPR. So this approach of federal modeling fosters the agile initiative while keeping the data consistency in the long term, which is somehow a big challenge. So what is the role of Modelio in this approach? So Modelio is based on the central repository where it allows different teams of architects to do concurrent modeling. Every architect can use the models in the same time. So the tools are also graphical capabilities to describe the data and the models, and also the processes if you need it. And you can combine in the same tool the enterprise architecture standards. I mean, you can use the UML, you can use the XML, the Archimate, XMI, and so on. And you can customize the level of sophistication you want to see and you want to use by filtering the visible concepts in Modelio. So you can make it very complete or very simple. Then it allows you to enforce the data consistency thanks automated audit rules. And if you want to change something on the data description or on the data use, which is normal in the life cycle, you can analyze the impact. And this is very important because it's important that you don't destroy other initiative added value by changing the way the data can be used. So it offers also other functions like concurrent modeling with no bottlenecks for the architect, but also for the, I would say, for the business people. They can easily discover the data for all the stakeholders, either on a web-based reader to access the graphical models or the data description, or for some other actors, they prefer the classical documentation like Word or Excel, and we can generate automatically a very qualitative documentation by this way and use it for collaboration. So the collaboration between the stakeholders is an easy workflow, simple, easy. The document round trip, maybe we can come back from that later. We generate the document from the models, but you can also update the Word, and then we are able to extract the evolution and to put it back in the model under control of the architect, of course. And you have all the stuff of profile management and enterprise directory integration, of course, like every enterprise solution. So this is a synthesis about the product Modelio. You will see some more concrete aspects just after.
So now a short introduction of the Datavault Builder. So what is the Datavault Builder about? It's about integrating data from different data sources. So if you're working in the enterprise area, you usually don't have one IT system, but you have many. We have clients with hundreds of systems, but usually even when working with smaller companies today, with mid-sized companies, every company has at least 5 or 6 different source systems, the ERP, the logistics systems. We have maybe some mailing lists, some Excel sheets. Somebody has created the Access database, and you need to integrate all the different internal data sources, but more and more as well, external data sources to bring them together and to create one unified reporting. And Deutsche Bahn has done exactly that. They had the question about if they spend $1 more or euro on advertising, how much more revenue does this generate? And they started with 2 or 3 data sources in the beginning and added more and more data sources. That's possible by the Datavault approach that we're supporting and by automation through the Datavault Builder. And now they can answer the original question plus 119 other questions they didn't have in the beginning. If you want to see how our tool competes against other tools from Oracle, SAP, or Microsoft, you can read the BARC report that's doing a comparison of the data management software space, and they ask the clients about how they feel, if they like the software they're using, if they're getting the support they want. And we got the top rating in customer satisfaction and recommendation rate. That's as well linked to our support quality, because we deliver our whole solution as a service, means that we deliver you a ready to run packaged software that you can run on premises in the cloud, but with full support. And what we are very keen on is the time to market. It's about becoming agile. And this is exactly why we're here in this webinar. How do we work? How can we add step by step small bits of tangible output so the business users, the consumers of the data can test it, use it, and then go on into the next cycle. A little bit as well, how does our tool compare to other software is we have as well built-in modeling, but this is not going that far that Modelio is showing here with different approaches. But for mid-sized companies, it might be the right approach. But if you need really cooperation in modeling different teams and creating big architecture, Modelio might be the right tool for you. So that's why we are here today. We are generating out of the models the code. And we will see the model will be delivered today by Modelio, by Jose, and I will take it and we will generate a working code. Additionally, we are automating as well the infrastructure setup, so setting up new environments takes just a few minutes. An important part, if you want to become agile, is about automated testing. So we have set up an infrastructure where you can, with simple REST calls, start a new environment, load your data model, load test data, and get all the results if they were successful from your regression test by simple REST calls. What is built in as well is everything that you can work conform to the ITIL standards. So working with development, test, and production servers at the minimum, but even if you work with sandboxes, if you work with pre-production systems, that's everything supported by the deployment module. And this is exactly the module that we will use today to import the model from Modelio into the Datavault Builder. If you get tired of it, and you should get tired of it, because most of our clients are now releasing their models weekly to production, you can automate that by using the built-in REST API, so you can deploy models between the different environments as well, completely automatically to your build servers and stuff like that through REST APIs again. What is built in as well is operations, so you can schedule, you can run your jobs, everything is logged, everything is controlled. In the background, documentation, data lineage is written. And as well, if you need it, you can go up to high availability to see how your data is updated down to 5 minutes to 1 minute, even few seconds if necessary, how you can run hot scenarios that you have always new data and stuff like that. We can provide you the patterns for that. What we don't see on here is the part about documentation as well. On the technical level that we're writing, we are doing all the data lineage generation. And we have as well a data profiling tool in, because sometimes we need to understand if what the user specified about the data is really true and match the data coming from the source systems. Just that you see then the flow, what we will see later on in the live demonstration, we are connecting to the source system, getting the data into our staging area. Then we get the model either built in the tool itself or by now the Modelio today. And this will create our vault where we store and persist the data. The data is then loaded in here. History is created. We create the interfaces and we can output the information. And this is the flow that we will see is mainly ELT, except the first part where we can stage through ETL from different sources. I don't go into much detail today. If you're interested in this, you can join one of our more technical webinars about the Datavault Builder, but just to give a rough idea, we go from the model, we connect it with the data. This is the basic approach we're taking. So I'm handing over back to Jose.
Thank you very much, Peter, for this presentation. And now, after talking, we will see all of this in live demonstration. So let's go. First, let's present what we will see live in a few seconds. We will see how to build a model. Well, actually, we won't build it. It is pre-built. But we'll talk about a functional need, functional usage or domain, which is Client 360. So I recall Client 360 is about connecting the product and the person, which can be prospect after a client, etc., etc. So here we have a very simplified vision of what Client 360 could be, using UML annotation. This is a picture of UML diagram coming from Modelio. You will see live in a few seconds. So use case, mesh domain, and sprints are set at attribute level. You will see it in a few seconds. So I set it at the granularity of agreement number, for example, legal name for the enterprise, debt commercial action for the commercial action business object, etc. And when you set up a sprint inside a domain or usage, the dependencies are automatically added if you set only an association, for example. So we will see this live. We will see the support in Modelio to parameterize the data mesh domains or usages, which is done through stereotypes, which is metadata. It is data around the data model. We will see that after parameterizing the usages or mesh domains on the left, we can set the sprints at the attribute granularity. So I show on the right up the person ID is inside the Client 360 sprint 1. Okay, that's right. So go on. And you remember this and this? Do you remember in the 80s, we used to call WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. So what you see here is what you get inside Datavault Builder. We will see this live in a few seconds. So everything about UML artifacts is propagated into the Vault model using hubs, links, satellites, and also the domains. You see the agreement domain, product domain, commerce, parties, etc., which are the big bubbles, and they are mapped to at the top left, the party contract domains, and you see the colorizing, blue, violet, and green. This is mapped in the big balloons. You will also see that the satellites, the attributes, types, and comments are fully projected from Modelio inside the Vault model. I mean the data types, the comments. Here we can see le code du produit. It is French actually, and it's okay. So now let's switch the screen to see all I presented you now in static pictures, beautiful pictures. You will see it running live. So this is an instance of Modelio here. And first we have the domains. You see that we have the coloring here. I talked to you before about coloring. So coloring the functional domains of the federal data model is very important at the beginning of the governance. Inside every domain, you can find the actual business objects, and inside the business objects, you find the attributes. So as I said, the support for implementing the usages is here. It's a cartography that's called cartography usage, and it is very easy to create a new usage. I create CRM, I just replace the type text, and now we will see the CRM domain appears automatically for all the model. So here I can see that last name is in sprint 1, first name is in sprint 1, and communication reference is in sprint 2. Okay, so we can begin to see what will be the roadmap for implementing. I'm now implementing sprint 1, and while the dev team is actually implementing sprint 1, the architect is working for the sprint 2, is preparing for the sprint 2, but we do not deliver the sprint 2 yet. So we have the UML artifacts, we have the mesh domains or usages, we have the sprints. So now what can we do with all this? We can do many things. The first thing we will see now is how to create, for communication purpose, a diagram. So client 360, print 1. That's very easy. It is completely empty. And now with the Acceliance module, you can see the little blue light here. I can generate a diagram based on a domain and sprint. So here the Acceliance module has gone through all the tree, the model tree, and has collected all the sprints and all the usages. So there is no other. And if I create another sprint, it will appear automatically here. So let's go. I create the diagram. So of course it is very raw, so I will reorganize it now. I will put my contact, the commercial action against the contact, the agreement here, the individual, the contracted product in the agreement, the actor linking the agreement with the client, the product, okay, the enterprise, and everything is perfect. You can see very easy to prepare a communication document. Now, I can use the coloring that's inside the domains to automatically propagate the columns, and I can also put the domain name. So now I have a real document to communicate what will be in sprint 1. Okay, so that's very good. First usage, diagramming and communication. Second usage, Datavault Builder generator, which is another Acceliance add-on. I can deploy Datavault for sprint 1 inside the model. So it happens behind the scenes. You don't see anything, but it is done. Now, here I have the output folder, and I will generate the Vault model. So let's go. Great. Let's see if it is here. So it is here. So very rapidly, we can see that we have all the apps, we have all the links, and we have all the satellites. So everything that is generated here is the exact picture of what you see here. And now I will hand over the screen to Peter that will take this projection inside the actual tool.
Thank you a lot. So you sent it over? Yes, I got the mail. So let's switch over to the Datavault Builder. Give me 1 second. Now you see probably a little bit more. We have started up a new Datavault Builder instance. There is nothing in there. I have just pre-staged some tables that I will use later that I don't need to add the tables here manually. And I will use the deployment module and import now the data that Jose sent over. Let's drag and drop it in here. It now compares the file I received from him with my local installation, and I should do it the right way around. And now I see that, no, I did it the right way around, like this. Yes, the staging tables were not in the model. That's why it's showing that it would delete them if it would make everything the same as I received it. But we see here already that all these different elements need to be created in here, and that's fine. So I want to just select the ones that should be created, and let's deploy it. And the cool thing is, by using the deployment method for this, is even if I already created manually some additional objects, I could keep them or override them or sync them if maybe some description changed, so that there is the full way of syncing this stuff together. Good. So it deployed the model. So let's go in here and just let's bring everything on the screen. And we see the same model again. And we see as well the subject areas, or data domains as it's called sometimes today, in here. So we see the same model. I can arrange it in here. And let's decide what we want to load. And I have prepared a little bit of data for the actor, the person, and the agreement. And that would be the next step, because the first step is always start with the model as well. Our recommendation, because the model about the business will stay stable over time. The implementation, the connection to data will change over time, because it will exchange, and because we're thinking here about run times of maybe or times that this solution will live for 10 or 15 years, and you will exchange your IT systems, but most probably your business will stay stable. And in case it doesn't stay stable, you need to exchange anyways the technical system, so you need to change both. So start with the model, and now let's decide, and let's go really step by step, and in the agile fashion, go through all the layers to the output before you go on with the next. So let's start with the actor. Here we have our source connectors. We can connect here directly to different sources, to different databases, REST APIs, CSV files, Access databases, Excel files, whatever you need to integrate. I have connected here already to my SQL Server, and I have selected here some tables for staging. I can just select the schema and the table name. It gives me the columns. There are many options that I'm skipping today, just giving you a plain vanilla run through. And let's load these tables into our staging area. Usually I recommend only doing 1 or 2 tables at a time, just for the demo purpose. I prepared all my tables now here to be running at once. The next step would be we go in here and we can analyze our data and see what is in there. If you look at the agreement number, it's this kind of numbers that we are expecting. Are there any duplicates? We can do like a tree map representation, that we already get a first impression of the data we're adding now to our data warehouse. So the next step is that we now need to connect the two perspectives, because we have the model-driven perspective received from Modelio, and we have the data-driven perspective receiving from our data sources. And that's done by defining a business key. So if we go for the actor, let's add the load. And this is a simple data model. I have already the keys prepared in here, but I need to find what it is, because maybe I can check if the agreement number and the roll number is unique, and it will support me test for uniqueness. It will give me the feedback, no, there are some duplicates. So I could go back to my business user that maybe give me a wrong key definition and tell him, look, I have for the same agreement number and the same role, I have 2 different customers. And then maybe the business user comes back and say, yeah, the customer in fact can be different. That's a many-to-many relation. So yes, let's adapt that. So let's add this load. And the Datavault Builder in the background is in real time translating this into the necessary physical object in the database. It's creating all the loads. This means just a few seconds later, I can start loading the data. And this is the first table, but now I will go a little bit faster, and it's okay if you can't follow every single step that I'm doing here, but I'm adding now the keys for the other tables. I'm defining here so-called satellites that will hold the attributes. It will create SCD type 2 history. So everything which is technical, which is derived from the model, will happen automatically in the background as well. Data loading, it happened everything automatically. So we have created now data for the person and the actor, and I need to create the relations. So I need to define something that in a classical data modeling we will call the foreign key. So from the actor table, I will add here as well the customer ID. I can preview if this is about the values that I'm expecting, which is fine. I don't expect it to be unique because it's foreign key. It confirms my thesis, and we can add it. And this is exactly how it's going. So I'm going very fast because I know the data, but in fact, this is as well how you build up your loads into the vault. And the good thing is you always look only at one thing at a time. And right away, when you're finished, you can load it and you can test it. So I have now implemented the actor and the person, and I'm not implementing the agreement yet. I'm not doing too much things at once. I go to the next level, and I will create a view for the actor. And I can select the time perspective. I'm in the first version interested only in the as of now view, so it will create the data as it is and query it as it is from my vault, but it's already stored with the full history. So later on, I could switch to SCD type 2 and get the full history out of it. So this kind of things that we are adding that a good data warehouse developer would do as well. But here, everything is happening in real time automatically, just based on the model. And before we test our output, we can see that in the background as well, operations was prepared. So we can just here say that we need an automatic job, and it will automatically from the model determine which data needs to be loaded in which order. We can start it here, we can schedule it here, we can schedule it externally. So all the different modules that are involved in data warehouse development are automatically covered in this workflow. So let's have a look at our output. So we have the business key for the hub actor, and we can maybe add already from the person for a test, maybe company name and first and last name. And this is now writing the different SQL statements on the database in the background, but you don't see it. You just see the result. You see everything is fine. You can test it. You deliver this maybe already to your data consumer. He gives you feedback. Yeah, that's a good start, but we are missing now the details about the contract and about the role of this actor. So let's go and implement then the next step, because we can here already highlight a little bit what we have already implemented. So this would be maybe the next step that we're adding. So we're connecting now the agreement with source data, and now slowly it becomes repetitive because it's again and again the same step, just going through the process, defining the key. The tool will generate everything. Let's define the foreign key for the actor table. And we need the agreements, the agreement number. Again, I don't expect this to be unique, which it is not. That's fair. And again, we can go back to operations, and it extended our job. So we don't need to update this stuff manually. We don't need to worry about the order. It's just running everything in the background automatically. We just go to our output interface. I double click it and see that I did a mistake because I didn't add the load here. So you see it's a live demonstration. But the tool already indicated this to me by not highlighting the agreement in blue. Now the data is there. And we can now join it together with the next output. Let's put the description, start, end date. Let's change the columns. And this is how we go forward and backward. So we can deliver again and again in a very fast way, virtually, views to the data consumer. He can test it. He can sign off and give us a feedback that we can go on with the next step. So we did already like 2 small iterations, and the final iteration most probably would be to add the role, but you can imagine how it will work again, the same. So let's take just the data source, define what the key is, and go on and on. Good. In the background, while I was doing that, automatically the documentation was prepared down to the technical column names, through all the layers with visual excerpts. You can filter it, you can export it. And the good thing is that all this data is available as metadata in the database as views and as REST API. So if you want to integrate it back and check it and test it or import your metadata into your report, you can do that. Everything is available on the database. As mentioned before, operations is prepared, it's done. Data lineage was generated while we were modeling. So you see exactly the data flow. You can filter down on certain objects, and you see from the left that from a source system, a certain staging table is loaded, which objects are filled by this table, if any point in time tables are involved, the interface that was created for querying the data, the business rules layer, and we see that I didn't publish anything, so there's no access layer. That would be the last step that I would do to make it publicly available within the company to the people that have the permissions to read it. But let's assume that we are finished, that we are happy, that the output that we want to generate here is okay. Let's maybe output as well here the role name, because that's the final thing that we wanted to implement in this sprint. Everything has data, it looks very good. So let's go. Let's publish that. And I know it was very fast. It's just to give you a rough idea how working in the Datavault Builder looks like. If you get external model, how to connect it with data. And now we could go into deployment phase, compare it against the next environment, and it will calculate exactly the commands that we need to deploy this kind of a model against our next environment. And that's the end of my presentation part. We would be open now for questions. So José and Hervé are joining me again. First thing, thank you that we were able to do this webinar in English because my French is very bad. But if anybody asks questions, please, you have a question and answer button in Zoom. You can use that, put in a question, and we can pick it up. Good. There's one question, how you use the software, how you deploy it. Maybe you want to answer it first for Modelio?
Modelio is
Yes.
a SaaS solution. So you just use a SaaS license and you can integrate your enterprise dictionary to manage the profile and the access to the solution. This is the basic way to use it. We have some customers which have very sensitive data models, and those kind of customers have them on-premise, but it's extremely rare. Okay, if you are working on some very sensitive product, okay, but it's 90% of our clients use it as a SaaS solution. And then Acceliance has developed some modules which articulate the function of Modelio with the function of Datavault Builder.
Okay. For the Datavault Builder, it depends. It's really how you choose it. It's delivered as Docker container, so you can run it on premises. So we have banks, we have companies in the security sector that are using the Datavault Builder that use it on premises, but always as well with the perspective to put it maybe in 2, 3, or 5 years to the cloud when they have signed off all the legal work, and that's possible. You can start on premises and by configuration move to the cloud. You can run it on all the big cloud providers as well on smaller cloud providers. So if you have any regional cloud providers like in Germany and it needs to stay the data in Germany or in France, that's possible as well. And the good thing is, and I think that's very important if you're looking at this kind of hosted solution, is you can move the solution between the cloud providers by configuration. So if you start on Azure, Azure becomes too expensive, you move it to Google Cloud Computing and the other way around. So you have the full control on which version of the software is running in which environment. And as well, we deliver you a copy of the software to run within your cloud environment. So you're very sure that you have the full control. You can run as well 2-year-old versions. I wouldn't recommend it because today internet times stuff is changing very fast, but still you're completely free to control whatever you like. Good. Then maybe a question to you, Jose, how big teams can work with Modelio with such concept in such a environment and cooperate in Modelio and work at the same time on the model?
Actually, this is a question for Modelio software. Modelio software allows unlimited number of architects to contribute to the model. It works with a system of locks. So you have to split the model into functional parts. I saw you in the demo just before. And then you lock your part. One architect locks one part, the other part. And after when the two check in the modifications, the global model is reconciliated. So how many architects? We had an experience at BNP with 2 architects. One for the party and product, and the other one for the agreements and I don't remember another domain. 2 architects.
Well, we have kind of project with several dozen of architects. Huh? So okay. Today we didn't meet any limitation of the number of architects, and that this is for real architect and for the people who are reading the information, using only the information. It's over 1,000 people today in the largest project, over 1,500.
Better answer from Hervé. Thank you.
So there's one question, and I rephrase it a little bit. So how does Datavault Builder compare to competing products? And one big differentiation is that what you model in the tool is in real time translated into working code. So in the same second you model, and you have seen I was modeling and testing at the same time. And I don't think any other product does this in this way. And if you change something, and I liked it as Hervé was saying, they're doing the same with the documentation, that you can change the documentation and it changes the model. The same you can do with the Datavault Builder. You can go into your database and change the implementation of your Datavault, and we will read it back and discover that you changed something. So the documentation and the implementation stays always in sync. And that's a very, very crucial point if you have audits in your company, because if you don't have that, you're sweating, you don't know what is happening, you don't know if it will fit. And as this is basically the same, there is no repository in between. There can't be any difference. And there are many other things like, yes, we are cloud native applications. We have all this infrastructure set up and processing and running everything of the software in one tool. So you don't need different tools, different interfaces. That's quite unique. So yes, there are other automation tools around. There are other automation tools for Datavault, but I think we have a very unique set that makes you very, very productive and pay really fast for the tool itself. Now we have one question for Modelio only. Does Modelio only provide UML data modeling?
No. I showed you the UML usage, but there is Archimate, other annotations, and what's very strong with Modelio solution is we will implement now at a client. You can mix Archimate, enterprise architecture, and UML objects and you can connect the artifacts and generate documentation. You can mix both. Hervé, maybe you have something else to do.
Yes, and even for larger projects where you need also to modelize some processes, not only the data, Modelio integrates in the same repository different notation, which are Archimate, BPMN, UML, and you can refine the level of details you use regarding your intention. What do you want to reach as objective with this project? And you will use different level of details, but the object is still unique. There is only one description in one place of the object. Okay, so you don't need to integrate different tools. You have everything in the tool, but you show it or you don't show it regarding what you want to do with your tool.
Okay, there's one good question about good. You're talking about data mesh and Datavault. Is this not like problem? No, I don't see that this is something problematic. Data mesh is about how you decentralize your work, how you organize your team, how you model as well within data domains, that you don't slow down the other teams, that they are not dependent on each other and stuff like that. And Datavault is for, and that's my personal opinion now here, for implementing a real implementation within the data domain in a very automated way, in a very controlled way, adding all the historization of data that is necessary, and by using automation with the Datavault Builder as well, adding many of the other features described, like the logging, the permissions and stuff like that, that you need to develop in each domain. And so by using a defined, standardized approach within the data domains, you become very, very fast, and the people in the domains can concentrate on their business topics and not on implementing some technological solution. And with Modelio, they even can then collaborate and still synchronize their models, because that's still necessary. There's always two aspects. Yeah, you like to decentralize, but at this same time, you need to have some central governments, otherwise everything falls apart. My personal point of view. Does anybody want to add something to it?
Yes, and I can add that synchronizing is a matter of process, but more important than synchronizing, just synchronizing, is a global federated vision of the data. You see the data, the enterprise data as one data, data 360, whatever you call it. It's fully under control.
But good point. Is it a problem that then everybody's belonging on the same Datavault Builder instance and the same deployment schedule? No, sorry, I didn't mention that. Datavault Builder is multi-tenant compatible, so every data domain can run its own instance. It's covered as well by a special license, so you can install as many installations as you want, and you have completely decoupled technical systems, and you can unify them just later by using some virtualization technology, like we are working sometimes on top of Snowflake. So we could have like 10 teams creating their own data domain implementation on Snowflake, and then you use just Snowflake queries to bring all the data from the different domains together for specific reports, like for the management that needs to have a view through all the data domains and have the permission to do so. Good. Is there anything you want to add, Hervé or José?
Well, one thing about collaboration, which is a question which come often. There is all the technical aspect of this integration, which is really great between Modelio and Datavault through Acceliance skills. But there is also a challenge when you are doing this kind of project, is that you have the specialists, you know, you are the people who are used to work with the data, with the models, but you have also some business people where they don't like to work with the graphical representation and those relatively technical tools. And to be onboarded on that kind of project, they need a more classical documentation. They want a process which is described more linearly and so on. And to onboard this kind of people in the collaboration, we made this document publisher with the round trip. First, you can have always a documentation which is generated automatically by Modelio. It's a very qualitative Word or Excel documentation. And what is interesting is that the person can modify, for example, you describe the way you use the data, and she can correct it, say, no, that's not exactly that. He can change some properties or some way you call it. And then you can take back this modification in Modelio and propose them to the architect, which owns the management of this group of data. Of course, it's not automatic. You decide, if you are architect, whether you accept or you don't accept this modification, and you answer to the person, okay, I accept it for this reason or not. But there is a duality between the classical documentation and the model, and it is fully automatic.
I liked it. That's a very, very cool feature.
Yes.
Yeah. So one important thing, how do you version your stuff? And I just simplified the question a little bit. It was longer. So for Datavault Builder part, we are using a Git flow-based approach. We are exporting our models in a human-readable JSON-like structure, which is prettified and sorted and distributed into many small files. So it works very, very good with Git. So if you're just adding and I understand the background, because if you're working agile, you have a lot of deployments and you work sometimes on branches. So you need to be able to branch and merge your data models, and that's possible with the formats that we are using. So that's no problem. That's part of our CI/CD pipeline stuff that I couldn't show in this short time. But if you're interested, you can join one of our longer technical webinars where we talk exactly about such questions.
Yes, I can add that about CI/CD, Modelio can be invoked to run a script. Everything I showed you interactively can be scripted and launched in a CI/CD pipeline just to bring it in the chain of delivery.
Yeah, same for the Datavault Builder. Everything what I showed today has its own REST API, which is documented, that you can use to automate whatever steps you like to repeat again and again as well. The import that I showed in the beginning and importing the data model, I'm usually not doing manually. I have my scripts for that, so it would run completely automatic, but you wouldn't have seen anything. So yeah. Good. If there are no more questions, I would show you as last slides the contact details first from Modelio. So if you want to contact Hervé, please feel free so as well. Contact him on LinkedIn. I think he's happy talking about Modelio. He's very enthusiastic and has a great knowledge about the tool. Acceliance as well. Contact José on LinkedIn, write him emails, go on the web page. And for me as well, I'm always happy as well talking just generally about data modeling, talking about agile data modeling, about automation, even if it's not related to our tool. I'm very open. I'm very happy because I'm speaking as well at conferences. I'm always like, if I get new input, if people tell me that there are things that can be done better or different, or I should learn about something new, please feel free to contact me. Any last words from you, Hervé and José?
Thank you very much for being here, and we hope you have collected very good ideas for your project, for your enterprises.
And we will welcome your question with some more time, because we present you a big integration, in fact, and it would need some more time to go more in details, and we will be pleased to do it with you on the one-to-one exchange. Thanks a lot.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Thank
Et
you.
bonne journée.
Have a good day. Bye.